in which our protagonists, Anna and Levine, finally meet, and in which one of their tales comes to an end. Chapter 9. "The Oblonsky carriage," shouted the porter in a gruff bass. The carriage pulled up and they got in. Only at the beginning, while the carriage was driving through the gates of the club, did Levine continue to feel the impression of the club's peace, contentment, and the unquestionable propriety of the surroundings. But as soon as the carriage drove out to the street and he felt it jolting over the uneven road, heard the angry shout of the driver going the other way, saw in the dim light the red signs of a pothouse and a shop, that impression was destroyed, and he began to reflect on his actions, asking himself if he was doing the right thing by going to Anna. What would Kitty say? But Stepan Arkadyevich did not let him ponder, and, as if guessing his doubts, dispersed them. "I'm so glad," he said, "that you'll get to know her. You know, Dolly has long been wanting it, and Lyov has called on her and keeps dropping in. Though she's my sister," Stepan Arkadyevich went on, "I can boldly say that she's a remarkable woman. You'll see. Her situation is very trying, especially now." "Why especially now?" "We're discussing a divorce with her husband, and he consents, but there's a difficulty here about her son, and the matter, which should have been concluded long ago, has been dragging on for 3 months. As soon as she gets the divorce, she'll marry Vronsky. It's so stupid, this old custom of marching in a circle. Rejoice, O Isaiah, which nobody believes in, and which hinders people's happiness." Stepan Arkadyevich added, "Well, then her situation will be as definite as mine, as yours." "What's the difficulty?" said Levine. "Ah, it's a long and boring story. It's all so indefinite in this country, but the point is that while waiting for the divorce, she's been living here in Moscow for 3 months, where everybody knows them both. She doesn't go anywhere, doesn't see any women except Dolly, because, you understand, she doesn't want them to come to her out of kindness. That fool, Princess Varvara, even she found it improper and left. And so in that situation another woman wouldn't be able to find resources in herself. She, though, you'll see how she's arranged her life, how calm and dignified she is. To the left, into the lane, across from the church," Stepan Arkadyevich shouted, leaning out of the window of the carriage. "Ha, what heat," he said, opening his already unbuttoned coat still more, though it was 12 degrees below zero. "But she has a daughter. Mustn't she keep her busy?" said Levine. "You seem to picture every woman as a mere female, une comme vous," said Stepan Arkadyevich. "If she's busy, it must be with children. No, she's bringing her up splendidly, it seems, but we don't hear about her. She's busy, first of all, with writing. I can already see you smiling ironically, but you shouldn't. She's writing a book for children and doesn't tell anybody about it. But she's read it to me, and I gave the manuscript to Vorkuev. You know, that publisher. A writer himself, it seems. He's a good judge, and he says it's a remarkable thing. But you'll think she's a woman author. Not a bit of it. Before all, she's a woman with heart. You'll see that." Now she has a little English girl and a whole family that she's occupied with. What is it? Some sort of philanthropy? See, you keep looking at once for something bad. It's not philanthropy, it's heartfelt. They had, that is, Vronsky had, an English trainer, a matter of his trade, but a drunkard. He's drunk himself up completely, delirium tremens, and the family's abandoned. She saw them, helped them, got involved, and now the whole family's on her hands, and not patronizingly, not with money, but she herself is helping the boys with Russian in preparation for school, and she's taken the girl to live with her. You'll see her there. The carriage drove into the courtyard, and Stepan Arkadyevitch loudly rang the bell at the entrance, where a sleigh was standing. And without asking the servant to open the door whether anyone was at home, Stepan Arkadyevitch went into the front hall. Levin followed him, more and more doubtful whether what he was doing was good or bad. Looking in the mirror, Levin noticed that he was flushed, but he was sure that he was not drunk, and he walked up the carpeted stairway behind Stepan Arkadyevitch. Upstairs, Stepan Arkadyevitch asked the footman, who bowed to him as a familiar of the house, who was with Anna, and received the answer that it was Mr. Vorkuev. "Where are they?" "In the study." Passing through a small dining room with dark-paneled walls, Stepan Arkadyevitch and Levin crossed a soft carpet to enter a semi-dark study, lit by one lamp under a big, dark shade. Another lamp, a reflector, burned on the wall, throwing its light onto a large, full-length portrait of a woman, to whom Levin involuntarily turned his attention. This was the portrait of Anna, painted in Italy by Mikhailov. While Stepan Arkadyevitch went behind a trellis-work screen and the male voice that had been speaking fell silent, Levin gazed at the portrait, stepping out of its frame in the brilliant light, and could not tear himself away from it. He even forgot where he was, and, not listening to what was said around him, gazing without taking his eyes from the astonishing portrait. It was not a painting, but a lovely, living woman, with dark, curly hair, bare shoulders and arms, and a pensive half-smile on her lips, covered with tender down, looking at him triumphantly and tenderly with troubling eyes. Only because she was not alive, she was more beautiful than a living woman can be. "I'm very glad," he suddenly heard a voice beside him, evidently addressing him. The voice of the same woman he was admiring in the portrait. Anna came to meet him from behind the trellis, and in the half-light of the study Levin saw the woman of the portrait in a dark dress of various shades of blue, not in the same position, and not with the same expression, but at the same height of beauty that the artist had caught. She was less dazzling in reality, but in the living woman there was some new attractiveness that was not in the portrait. If you enjoy this format, please leave a like and subscribe and return tomorrow for the next chapter.